Singapore's journey from a sleepy fishing village to first world has been well documented, but a former top civil servant has now written a book that adds a new layer to the story.
Mr. V K Rajan retired after more than 40 years in the civil service. He held positions such as Deputy Collector of Land Revenue, Special Assistant to Director Manpower, Chief of Protocol and Ambassador as well. Now, welcome to the studio, Mr. Rajan. Great to have you with us this evening.
Thank you very much.
So tell us then, Serving Singapore, My Journey, what made you want to write this book?
Well, many people, both at home and abroad, also abroad, have wanted me to write the book because they feel that as a pioneer civil servant, I started at the beginning of Singapore, 1959. Then we went into Malaysia, and the traumatic expulsion from Malaysia as a young republic. Our challenges were unique, and they think the story should be written. I have a story to tell, it should be written. So I decided to write my experiences, my recollections in the book.
You mentioned there you started the civil service in 1959. What motivated you to actually take this career path?
Well, I needed a job. But I always had a very lively interest in the problems and affairs of the region. And I wanted to help the government to serve Singapore and develop Singapore for the welfare of the people. It was a passion. It was a kind of
a calling?
I would say call.
Yeah, and what was it like in the early civil service, the early days?
Early civil service was a British colonial civil service, largely to serve the interests of the British. So, 1959, elected government came to power with a urgency to develop Singapore. They had a crash program. You know, we had all the problems you can think of. Lack of housing, poor hygiene, and inadequate health services. All the problems we had. And there was an urgency to develop. And the civil service had to be changed, both in discipline and in having an attitude to serve the people. You are now serving the people of Singapore through in partnership with the elected government. So we had many changes. The first, the discipline. Civil service servants must come on time. Okay? And they must have financial discipline. Those days, many civil servants were, sad to say, indebted. An indebted civil servant cannot function properly. So we brought in many rules that civil servants should not be indebted, and they also have to declare their assets. And above all, tough laws were brought to combat corruption, not just in the civil service, but throughout the country. So many changes, and the civil servants went to a training course. You know, we attended, there was a political study center to sensitize civil servants to the new needs of the time.
So you've had a very illustrious career. You've been in so many different departments. Just tell us, what were some of the toughest jobs that you actually had to take on?
Oh, we had many challenges. The toughest job was when I was Deputy Collector of Land Revenue, clearing slums. You know, it was necessary. We have to do it, but slum clearance is not easy anywhere in the world.
Oh, there's people's
the people
lives.
Have grown.
Yeah.
You know, they have taken roots in that area, and they depend on that place for livelihood and social interactions, etc. So you have to move. It is very difficult for them. And we have to be on the front line to get them to move, or in a better word to say, evict them. It was tough, but over a period, the people began to have confidence, mainly because the government, unlike in any other countries, they had a good program. You just don't throw the people out. There was a housing program. They offered them housing board flats, not free, but affordable, and also jobs for them as close as possible, job opportunities, as close as possible to where their new lives are beginning. Because if you go into the house without a job, well, what can you do?
Right. So indeed,
fair.
yeah, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us, Mr. V K Rajan, and congratulations again on your book, Serving Singapore, My Journey, for sharing your memories with us of your career in Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.